Ah. Hi. Watch this.
Welcome back. Our next guest is a liberal who is going viral for reaching across the aisle to make new friends at a Trump rally.
I'm a liberal, and I went to a Trump rally to see if there was common ground. Going in, I was expecting aggression, but I actually experienced a lot of kindness.
Do you want to be friends?
Of course. Love everybody.
Sure, I'm gonna get a hug.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes!
That last clip was Holly, and she invited me to a women's Bible study, so Malik and I went.
This is Samuel, one of Holly's friends.
And again, we experienced incredible kindness.
They're a fun group of people.
Now, let me say this, not to detract from the heartwarming sentiment of the episode, but there is a part of me that wants to mock this, because I know I'm not the only one who can picture some older people watching this going, my word, young people talking to others without that thing in their hand, and they aren't yelling, oh, it's just like the old days! Because you can see that, right? Now, you know my video style. I don't like to give a 20-minute rambling opinion about bugger all. I just tend to strip it bare and go in blunt force trauma. Okay, that sounded way more sexual out loud than it does in my script. Where was I going with this again? All right, strip bare. Sorry, I got sidetracked there for a minute. There is a part of me that finds the story rather horrifying, because if you do strip away all the politics, all the partisanship, all that nonsense, and you looked at the story bare as you possibly could, you can sum it up in a single sentence. Young man speaking with strangers about things they might have in common discovers he can make friends. That's it. That's the entirety of this whole story. We are more than a fifth into the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen. The world is more globally interconnected than ever before. And yet the most basic principles of reciprocal human interaction adhered to makes national news. There is something seriously wrong with our society. Fortunately, the solution seems rather simple. Set fire to a new call of social media. That's a sacrifice I am willing to make. Because this whole scenario is exclusively because of the left and social media. The right has nothing to do with any of this, because the kid comes from Los Angeles, California, and was warned about going into conservative territory. And you know that's from a bunch of twonks who've never met and spoken to any Trump supporters before. Notice I said speak, not shriek like an epileptic fit-stricken autist. This experience making the rounds is proof they don't know anything about the right. Because here's the thing about social media, and anyone is free to disagree with this. I mean, you'd be wrong, but that's fine. You can continue to be stupid and swim in your own ignorance. Do your thing. But at least when it comes to politics, this is a giant cesspool. It is civilization's most vacuously pointless battleground. All social media does is take the two tribal sides, take the loudest voices on either side, and cranks it. All it does is amp the feedback loop. There's no purple, no gray, no middle ground for discussion, discourse, nada. It is vitriolic hatred and nothing else. And if you're on social media, you know this. If you're on Team Red and you comment on a post from a well-known person on Team Blue, it doesn't matter if what you said is true or factually accurate. If it doesn't gel with the tribe, a mob of blue-balled morons will dogpile you. And same goes for the other side. The only difference in the right's dogpiling, it can be less overly hostile and more brutally humorous in their onslaught. The only thing that somewhat mitigates this is if you follow someone that's well known from the right who will troll someone on the left for their stupidity, for example, then you get a sort of cohort to follow the troll. Styx and Razorfist do this, as does Michael Malice. Now, the reason I say all of this is the left's fault is because the left needs this isolation to grow. It is a parasite, a virus, a carcinogen, and venturing out of the isolation is the cure. And you can see this with how the right and the left treat each other. The left needs the division for that reason, in a way that the right does not. The left must smear its opposition and teach its own to avoid any confrontation with the right, because in reality, the left is really weak and they will easily lose. It's why they lie and sensationalize constantly. Now, if you're on the right, and obviously objective, you know this. If you read the articles on the right about how they talk about the left, if you went to a writer or journalist on the right and asked them, how do I know you're telling the truth? They don't need to lie. They could simply tell you, go read what the left is writing about you. And they'd be correct, because that is how they describe the right. Whereas if you're on the left, you can't go read about the right or talk to them. Doing so is seen as an act of heresy. And that's what happened to the young lad in the video. He went and reached out to Trump supporters. That is the most interesting part of the video to me. As I said before, people don't change voluntarily. Something provokes them or they're exposed to some new information. That is what propels the change. Because if you examine the situation without the political bias, if you have a tribe around you telling you those who oppose you want to do you harm and potentially kill you, to voluntarily engage with them for seemingly no reason other than curiosity, that can seem rather stupid. So I'm curious as to what made him actually do that. Now, if you're heavily invested in the political sphere on social media, and some random lefty comes and says, "Hi, do you want to be friends?" and you know these people often shriek like the banshees, I can see why some people would be a bit apprehensive to his style of approach. A few might justifiably think, okay, this is a trap, and others might be confused, thinking, you aren't spazzing out like liberals I've seen before, and I don't know what to do with this. So, understandable if that doesn't work on everyone. Because depending on the concentration of leftoidism around that kid, you could see some vastly different reactions. He could go back and some people might realize, oh, maybe those people aren't so bad. Others might ostracize him entirely for the most modicum of red that has now stained him. And he might realize that maybe the other side is friendlier. Hell, he might go back there and go, "You'll never guess what happened to me when I went back home." And they'd say, "Let me guess, you've been ostracized and shunned, labeled some racist, fascist, Nazi Trump supporter, and you're a horrible, evil person for merely talking to us as if we're human beings." Yeah, how'd you know? Why do you think we don't talk to them? And that, boys and girls, is how right-wingers are born. And that is all for today, and I will see you all next time.